Hebrews 5, 2-3, Bible Knowledge Commentary. For every high priest taken from among men is appointed on behalf of men in things pertaining to God, in order to offer both gifts and sacrifices for sins. He can deal gently with the ignorant and misguided, since he himself also is beset with weakness. And because of it, he is obligated to offer sacrifices for sins as for the people, so also for himself. So, the high priest must also be a man of compassion, as the word metriopathein, which underlies the phrase deal gently, implies. This is the capacity to moderate one's feelings, to avoid the extremes of cold indifference and uncontrolled sadness. For an ordinary priest of the Old Testament, this sympathy grew out of an awareness that he himself was subject to weakness, prone to failures of his own. Hence, in his sacrificial activities, he must make the necessary offerings for his own and the people's sins. In this respect alone, as the author will show later, Christ did not exactly correspond to the characteristics described here, since he was without sin, and to be honest with you, without the capability of sinning. Perfect God-man in his humanity and his deity as well. But it is also possible that the writer thought of the compassion of the son priest as being far richer than the moderate gentleness he ascribed to other priests. Hebrews 5:4. And no one takes the honor to himself, but receives it when he is called by God, even as Aaron was. Bible study manuals on Hebrews 5:4. And Hebrews 5:4 indicates that no one appoints himself the honor of being a high priest of men, but he receives it when he is called by God, even as Aaron was in the time of Moses. Note that Scripture indicates that a number of disasters came upon individuals such as Korah and Saul and Uzziah, who took it upon themselves to act as if they were high priests and were evidently not so appointed by God. Expositor's Bible Commentary on Hebrews 5:4. And no one takes the honor to himself, but receives it when he is called by God, even as Aaron was. The negative statement immediately refutes any thought that a man can take the initiative in being made high priest. It is an honor to be a high priest. Josephus, Antiquities. The only way to be made a high priest is by divine appointment, and the appointment of Aaron sets the pattern, Exodus 28:1-3. In point of fact, no one other called to be high priest is recorded in Scripture, though we might reason that the call to Aaron was not simply personal, but also included his family and descendants. At any rate, the Bible records disasters that befell those who took it upon themselves to perform high priestly duties, as in the cases of Korah, Saul, and Uzziah. Hebrews 5:5. So also Christ did not glorify himself, so to become a high priest, but he, God, who said to him, "You are my son, today I have begotten you." Bible study manuals on Hebrews 5:5. Let's take a look. This is a good way to backtrack a little. See how 5:5 fits in, 5:4 fits into 5:5. And no one takes the honor to himself, but receives it when he is called by God, even as Aaron was. So also Christ did not glorify himself so as to become a high priest, but he, God, who said to him, "You are my son, today I have begotten you." So it is clear that it is an honor for Christ to become a high priest. Yet he did not take upon himself this honor. But he, God, who said to him, "You are my son, today I have begotten you," in a sense that at a moment in time, God appointed God's son to be and exist as a high priest, which evidently gives honor and glory to Christ, indicating he became a high priest based on God's having appointed him to that high priesthood, one of unsurpassed glory. To one who expresses unsurpassed and mercy to fallen mankind, even among those whom God has also appointed as high priests to mankind. So, the phrase rendered, "Today I have begotten you," from Psalm 2:7, refers to the appointing Christ as the high priest by God as one which is inestimably superior to all high priests, because he is God, the Son of God, and it is God and God alone who has begotten God the Son to be the high priest appointed of the order of Melchizedek, in which order there is only one priest who is a priest forever. Hence both the Son of God and Melchizedek are God and one and the same. For Melchizedek is forever, having and no end, pointing to Christ himself being that priest incarnate during the time of Abraham. Hebrews 5:4 to 5:6. No one takes the honor to himself, but receives it when he is called by God, even as Aaron was. So also Christ did not glorify himself so as to become a high priest, but he, God, who said to him, "You are my son, today I have begotten you." And verse 6. Just as he, God, says also in another passage, "You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek." Bible Study Manual's commentary on Hebrews 5:6. Just as he, God, also says also in another passage, "You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek." So the phrase rendered, "Today I have begotten you," from Psalm 2:7, refers to the appointing of Christ as the high priest by God, as one which is inestimably superior to all high priests, because he is God, the Son of God, and it is God and God alone who has begotten God the Son to be the high priest, appointed of the order of Melchizedek, of which order there is only one priest who is a priest forever. So this indicates that Melchizedek is forever, having no beginning and no end, pointing to Christ himself being that priest incarnate during the time of Abraham. Now let's review this about Melchizedek. If you examine the passages that refer to Melchizedek, you will find that the only one that Melchizedek it could be is Jesus Christ himself in his pre-incarnate appearances, the only one who could be high priest of the order of Melchizedek. Now, if you examine the passages that refer to Melchizedek, you will find that the only one that Melchizedek could be is Jesus Christ himself. In his pre-incarnate appearances, the only one who could be high priest of the order of Melchizedek. Genesis 14:18 to 19. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High. And he blessed Abram, saying, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth." Psalm 110, 1 to 4. The Lord will extend your mighty scepter from Zion. You will rule in the midst of your enemies. Your troops will be willing on your day of battle, arrayed in holy majesty. From the womb of the dawn, you will receive the dew of your youth. The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. So a priest that rules forever must be in the order of a priesthood that is forever. Kind of a logical thought there. Hebrews 5:4 to 10. But no one takes this honor upon himself. He must be called by God, just as Aaron was. So Christ also did not take upon himself the glory of becoming a high priest. But God said to him, "You are my son, today I have become your father." And he says in another place, "You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." So Bible Study Manuals, God appointed Christ to be a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek, which implies that Melchizedek must be suitable for Christ, who is eternal and perfect, without sin. Hence, Melchizedek must be eternal and perfect without sin, i.e. God. Hebrews 5:7. During the days of Jesus' life on earth, he offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries and tears to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverent submission. Although he was a son, he learned obedience from what he suffered, and, once made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him, and was designated by God to be high priest in the order of Melchizedek. Bible Study Manuals. Christ was through his perfect humanity, through his sacrifice for the sins of the whole world, was made perfect and became the source of eternal salvation for all who believe in him for that eternal salvation, and was designated by God to be high priest in the order of Melchizedek, which order must be eternal and perfect. Hebrews 6:19-20. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain, where Jesus, who went before us, has entered on our behalf. He has become a high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Hebrews 7:1-3 and 9:28. This Melchizedek was king of Salem and priest of God Most High. He met Abraham returning from the defeat of the kings and blessed him. Note that just as God's presence was in the tabernacle in the wilderness and in the temple in Jerusalem for a period of time, so Melchizedek, who was God, was present as king of Salem, future Jerusalem, and priest of God Most High for a period of time. 7:2. And Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. First, his name means king of righteousness, and also king of Salem means king of peace. Bible Study Manuals. Furthermore, Melchizedek's name means king of righteousness, then also king of Salem, which means king of peace, all of which signify that Melchizedek can only be God, nothing less, for no one else can be king of righteousness and king of peace except God himself. So there's only one who can be appointed high priest of the order of Melchizedek, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who is eternal God, king of peace, king of righteousness, no one else. Hebrews 7:3. Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, like the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. This cannot be taken that there is no record of Melchizedek, as some contend. In the sense of no paper trail or no record of some. Oh, there it is. It is too specific and repetitive. Melchizedek is without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning or end of life, days or end of life. Like the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. He cannot be a mortal human being because he, like the Son of God, remains a priest forever. There are too many superlative descriptions to pass over the fact, well, we just don't know who he was. We have no record of him. He cannot be a mortal human being because he, like the Son of God, remains a priest forever. If there were no record of Melchizedek, yet he's nevertheless mortal, why the emphatic repetitive phrases? Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, like the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. Why not simply write that there is no official record of him? So Hebrews 7:9. One might even say that Levi, who collects the tenth, paid the tenth through Abraham. Hebrews 7:10, because when Melchizedek met Abraham, Levi was still in the body of his ancestor. Hebrews 7:11, if perfection could have been attained through the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, for on the basis of it the law was given to the people, why was there still need for another priest to come, one in the order of Melchizedek, not in the order of Aaron? Bible Study Manuals. Notice that there is a clear indication that there must be a priesthood that is not flawed, but perfect, and forever to accommodate Christ, who is not flawed, but perfect and forever eternal. And forever to accommodate Christ, who is not flawed, but perfect and forever eternal. The implication is that the order of Melchizedek is perfect, hence a high priest that is perfect and eternal, one appointed by God. In the order of the perfect priesthood, the order of Melchizedek substantiates that Melchizedek is Christ in his pre-incarnate appearance, which includes his encounter with Abram. Could Christ be of the order of an imperfect mortal priesthood if he is to be perfect and eternal? No.